Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all 3 past performance formats. Go to DRF.com and use coupon code 1FREEPP for a free single card today.
Hi everyone, I'm Brad Free. This is Daily Racing Forum's Derby Watch Preview segment. David Aragona has the day off. There are 3 major prep races this weekend. In fact, the final 3 major preps. There's one more, the Lexington Stakes at Keeneland in a couple weeks, but this is the final major weekend with 100 points on the line to the winner of each of these 3 preps in California, New York, and Kentucky. And we expect to see about a half dozen of the top 20 names on the Derby Watch list to be running this weekend as they move toward the Kentucky Derby, including Sierra Leone, who was the favorite on Derby Watch until Fierceness exploded in the Florida Derby. And Sierra Leone now the second choice at 6-1 on Derby Watch. He runs in Kentucky at Keeneland in the Grade 1 Bluegrass. So why don't we go ahead and start there? Let's take a look at the field for the Grade 1 Bluegrass. It's a mile and 1/8 on Saturday at Keeneland, and the 3 Derby Watch listers are Sierra Leone, the 2-1 favorite, Dornoch, who is listed as the 3-1 second choice, and Just a Touch at 7-2. Just to talk briefly about those 3, Sierra Leone with 55 points is virtually guaranteed a spot in the Kentucky Derby field. And I guess the point I want to make is that the Bluegrass is not a race that he has to win. He just has to run well. He's likely already in the Derby field. He has to run well to move forward toward the Kentucky Derby. But this is not a race that he has to win. Dornoch, he has a lot more speed than Sierra Leone. He has 60 points. He's probably in the Derby field as well. And kind of the same thing applies to Dornoch as it does to Sierra Leone. With 60 points, he's probably in the Derby field already. He doesn't have to win this race to make the field. He just has to run well and make the Kentucky Derby a reasonable next start. Now, it's a little bit different with Just a Touch. He only has 25 points. He needs to hit the board at least. If he finishes 3rd or higher, he'll have 50 points, and that should be enough. But Just a Touch, he's a little bit less accomplished than Sierra Leone and Dornoch. He's also lightly raced with a lot of room to improve. And I want to mention there's a new wager that's going to be offered this weekend. It's called the Big 3 Pick 3. It's a $3 minimum wager. I love high minimums. And it's going to link the Bluegrass at Keeneland, the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct, and the Santa Anita Derby at Santa Anita on Saturday. So a $3 wager on Saturday, linking the top 3 Kentucky Derby prep races, the Bluegrass, the Wood, and the Santa Anita Derby. I'm looking forward to playing that. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay, that's a quick look at the Grade 1 Bluegrass. Let's talk about the big race at Aqueduct, and that's the Wood Memorial. And the Wood Memorial includes a handful of potential, well, at least 3 horses that are on Derby Watch, including Deterministic. And Deterministic is actually currently the co-5th choice on Derby Watch at odds of 15-1. And he's a good horse. We're going to show his race in just a minute. The other 3 horses I want to just briefly talk about are Tuscan Sky, Uncle Heavy, and El Grando. Okay, why do I want to talk about Tuscan Sky? He has 0 points, 0 Kentucky Derby qualifying points. So the Wood Memorial is kind of a must run well. In fact, he has to finish 1st or 2nd in the Wood Memorial to move forward toward the Kentucky Derby. And I guess you could probably say the same thing applies to Deterministic. He's only making his 3rd career start, and he must run well also to move forward. Uncle Heavy was a late addition to Derby Watch. He's been on the list. He's been on the bubble back and forth. We actually moved him on at the last minute. David Aragona and I moved Uncle Heavy onto this week's Derby Watch list at the last minute when Timberlake dropped out, and Uncle Heavy expected to run in the Wood along with El Grando, who's still on the bubble, even though he has 30 points. Okay, I promised we talk a little bit more about Deterministic. Let's take a look at the stretch run of his comeback. Deterministic had not started since last August at Saratoga. He made his comeback in a graded stakes race against seasoned stakes horses. And not only did he win this race, he won it in the style of a colt who's going to make some noise this year. It takes him a while to get going, but when he kicks, he was decisive late. This is a good colt, and he's stretching out for the first time on Saturday to 2 turns. Based on how he ran, based on his pedigree, I don't see any reason why Deterministic should not run well and move forward toward the Kentucky Derby. So Deterministic, Tuscan Sky, Uncle Heavy, and El Grandel. We're recording this on Wednesday prior to the draw for the Wood Memorial. That's why we don't have a lineup quite yet. The same thing applies to the Santa Anita Derby on Saturday at Santa Anita, one of 5 graded stakes on Saturday. And let's take a look at some of the probables for the Santa Anita Derby. And it only, we've said this all year, the California-based 3-year-olds, they're all folk-centered mostly in one barn. And that barn, Bob Baffer, is ineligible for the Kentucky Derby. So it's kind of been slim pickings out in California. But the one horse who's been on Derby Watch from the very start is Stronghold. And he's taken kind of a circuitous route toward possibly the Kentucky Derby. He began his career in Kentucky, came out to California, shipped back out to Sunland. And I don't know if there's a horse that is training any better going into the Santa Anita Derby as Stronghold. Does he have something to prove? Of course he does. Sunland Derby winners don't typically contend for top honors in the Santa Anita Derby, but Stronghold has looked phenomenal in morning workouts. I expect him to take another big step forward as the only member of Derby Watch, currently at least, that is running in the Santa Anita Derby. Tapalo would have run in the Jeff Ruby, but he did not get into the race. He did not have enough earnings. And so trainer John Sadler rerouted him to the Santa Anita Derby. And in fact, Tapalo was recently made Triple Crown eligible. He was not an original nominee to the Triple Crown, but he is now. And Tapalo, if he finishes first or second in the Santa Anita Derby, he'll have at least 50 points with a 1-2 finish, and he could also move forward. EJ won the Cup. Can you believe that if you go back to the third start of EJ won the Cup, he was favored in a maiden race against none other than Nisos. Nisos is widely considered the top 3-year-old in California. He's currently sidelined, but EJ won the Cup was favored against Nisos. It took EJ won the Cup a long time to kind of get his act together, but he did. Since stretching out to 2 turns for trainer Doug O'Neill, he won the Turf Paradise Derby last time out, and he enters the Santa Anita Derby as a long shot, but proven around 2 turns. And then May Moon, as we record this on Wednesday morning, there is a lot of uncertainty swirling around regarding May Moon and whether or not he does start in the Santa Anita Derby this weekend. There's stay tuned for developments. I don't want to say anything more because it's not confirmed yet. But May Moon may or may not run in the Santa Anita Derby. Even if he did run, he can't go to Kentucky, at least not yet, because he's trained by Bob Baffer. Baffer will have starters in the Santa Anita Derby, possibly Imagination, possibly Winstock. And I only bring it up because, as I said earlier, Baffer has completely dominated this division. He's been doing it for years, but this year it really been quite conspicuous. And what I mean is Baffer wins every single graded stakes race on dirt for male foals of 2021. You don't believe me? Take a look at the list. These are the 9 graded stakes races run on dirt in Southern California for foals of 2021, open to males. Baffert, 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 Pletcher, Baffert, 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 Baffert. So 8 of the 9 graded stakes open to males on dirt in California have been won by Baffert trainees. The only race he lost was when Muth finished second to Fierceness in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So Baffert's domination of this division, it kind of gets old after a while, but he gets good horses and he trains them well and they deliver. So that's just a quick look at the domination of Baffert with regards to 3-year-old males of 2024. We'll see if it continues on Saturday with whoever he starts in the Santa Anita Derby. All right, let's wrap it up with our On the Bubble segment. And I mentioned this horse earlier, Tapalo. He was runner-up to Endlessly. He's now Triple Crown nominated. Tapalo is, and he's expected to run Saturday in the Santa Anita Derby. Grand Mo the First, third in the Florida Derby and Tampa Bay Derby. He has 40 points, and that puts him really literally on the bubble going into the Kentucky Derby. We're not sure if 40 points is going to be enough to get into the Kentucky Derby. His connections would like to run, but he's not starting until then. So it's going to probably be a last minute call whether or not Grand Mo the First makes the field. Finally, El Grando, expected to run Saturday in the Wood Memorial. He currently has 30 points. If he runs well in the Wood, that total will increase, and we'll find out if El Grando gets into the Kentucky Derby field, if in fact that's what they want to do. All right, Sierra Leone, Dornoch, and Just a Touch meet Saturday at Keeneland. Deterministic stretches out to 2 turns Saturday at Aqueduct. Stronghold runs Saturday in the Santa Anita Derby. We'll talk about all 3 of those races next week on Derby Watch. Until then, for David Aragona, I'm Brad Free. Thanks for watching.